One of my very favorite things to do is to go to the beach, and I never look up when I'm on the beach. I'm really just looking at the ground and like just to look and see what's in the sand and like what has washed up on the shore and what kinds of things I can poke at to see if they're alive. But we have been looking at fossils, and which are very, very old preserved remains or evidence, trace fossils of remains of things that once existed on Earth. And some of those things that are actually fossils exist now in modern day that are very similar. So we're going to look at some shells today. I have a whole set of them for you to figure out identifications and collect and measure and analyze. And I think you'll find it fairly interesting and fun. Definitely make sure you get your hands on some shells. But today's learning target is I can classify shells by observing their structures, shapes, and color. Our first term is gastropods. Say it with me. Gastropods. Now, gastropods can also be called univalves, like uni, like one. Univalves. Say that with me. Univalves. These are organisms with coiled shells. So, maybe like a snail shell, something like that. In your notebook, as soon as you figure out what a gastropod is, you're going to include a drawing and 2 examples of gastropods. So you can actually have some flexibility with this. If you want to just put 2 gastropods on and identify them, perfect. If you want to take a drawing from your lab today, perfect. If you want to later go home, copy one. Sorry, I had a... If you want to go home and screenshot one and print it out and cut and paste it, you can. If you're lucky enough today, I might have some shell coloring pages that you want to cut an image out and paste in here or 2. But just you need to know what a gastropod is. All right. Wait a minute. A gastropod. We may have seen one of those before. Or maybe we're going to see another one today. All right. Our second term today. Bivalves. Say it with me. Bivalves. Bi means 2. So organisms with shells made up of 2 halves that are mirror images of each other and joined at one edge by a flexible hinge. So a bivalve might be like a clamshell. Bivalve. Okay. So here you're going to draw 2 examples of bivalves, or one, you want to include one drawing and give us the names of 2 bivalves. You're going to see a lot of really cool looking shells today, and maybe you'll discover something in your own collection that you can identify. So I'm going to show you some really interesting shells. So here is a gastropod. It's kind of cute. Let me pull that up for you. I don't know if it will focus. This is an auger. See how it's pointed and twisty? And the little critter that lived in there, let's see if I can get this in there, lived right in that spot. And it had a little foot that came out so it could walk around. And its body just connected at the very point. This auger. Kind of cool. And let's see, how about a bivalve? This is super cool. This is one you actually might not find in your identification pages. You might have to actually research just a smidge more. This is sometimes called a turkey wing. Doesn't it look like a turkey wing, right? It looks like a turkey wing, but it's like a clamshell in that it can open and close. This is just one half. It usually has another half. It can open and close when it's alive. And that's a bivalve. And this is also a bivalve. This is super cool. I'm not going to tell you what it is because you have to identify it yourself. This is a bivalve. Look at the color. It's kind of orange. This one is fun. You'll be able to identify this one. It actually reminds me of a Christmas song. Jingle bells, jingle bells. You'll see what I mean if you identify that one. Here's another cool one. Do you know that tongue twister. She sells seashells by the seashore. Right? This is kind of fun. This is a type of shell that is a bivalve. This is really cool. This one, I don't know if you'll be able to identify it or not with one of the sites. It's not on all 3 sites, but it's on one of them. But this is cool. Look at it on the inside. If you look on the inside, it has like a pocket. You could put something tiny in there, like a gem or a jewel. But these are called slippers. This is super awesome. You're going to look at these. Kind of looks like a miniature volcano. And it's got a hole in the top. And it's called a limpet. And this one is so cool. It's probably my favorite. It's in the same class as these two, but it's called a kitten's paw. Do you see how it looks like a kitten's paw? This camera is better. It looks like a kitten's paw. Kind of cool, huh? All right, you guys, today you're going to get in the lab, and when you get in the lab, you're going to identify and measure some shells, and you're going to have a data table that looks like this. And in your data table, you're going to look at 3 shells. Just pick any 3 that you're interested in. Shell 1, shell 2, shell 3, whatever you want, whichever shells you want. These are the sites you're going to click on to help you identify them. And you can Google them if you want, or you can take pictures of them, or if you have a shell identification app on your Chromebook, you can use that too. I don't think you do. But keep in mind that all the shells were found on the west coast of Florida. So if you need to look at a map to find out what ocean these shells came from, or where they came from, to Google shells of West Coast Florida to find them, you can. So first you're going to determine the color, and then you're going to determine, is it a bivalve or a gastropod? Just put a check in whichever one you think it is. You'll classify it, of course. And then make a note of the patterns. Is it striped? Is it dotted? Is it checkered? Does it have zigzags? You can use more than just those terms. Like, is it bumpy? Does it have rings? Oh, by the way, clamshells, when they have rings, it tells how old they are. Like tree rings. See how it has grooves? You can count, and you can tell how many years old this is by those lines. Oh, cool, right? Bet you didn't know that. So what kind of shapes is it? Is it round? Is it oval? Is it pointy? Is it spiral? If you think you have a better shape, go ahead and put it there. And what size is it? Measure the length and the width using millimeters. Remember, those are the tiniest marks on your ruler. We're making a quantitative observation, right? And then an illustration. So draw it as best you can. If you cannot draw it, on this page, on the other side of your lab, on this page, there is a website right here to see some simple drawings that will really help you be able to draw them if you can't. Okay? And I'm not looking for like perfect artsy, but it's kind of fun to draw pictures of shells. All right. Also, on another note, if these fit in your notebook, where your notebook is on page 101, you can literally take one bivalve and one gastropod. So like make sure you look at a gastropod and one bivalve, and then you could cut them both out and put them into your notebook page instead of drawing and identifying 2 of them, because you're going to do the same thing here anyway with lab. All right. Enjoy getting in the lab. Make sure that you guys are sharing. Make sure that you are being kind to one another. Definitely take your Chromebooks back. You definitely need a pencil. It's okay not to be perfect with your art. Finish your notebook, finish your lab, and then you have a lab analysis to submit today. All right. Have an awesome afternoon. We'll show you later.